Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You're watching Access to Justice, and I'm attorney Delia Parker Mims. Today, we're going to kick back and talk soup, as some might call it. And we're going to talk about issues, we're going to talk about politics, and we're going to talk about pop culture. And we're going to do it today with Sheila Taylor Clark, otherwise known as So Shady, as what your social media fans call you. How are you doing today, Miss Clark?
I'm doing great.
So, can I call you So Shady?
You can call me So Shady. I guess you can call me So Shady.
Well, I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
And today, we're going to just kick back today and we're going to just analyze everything that has been going on today and just give the viewers some of our opinions of what's happening. And I know that you've got quite a few opinions out there.
Yeah, I got a few.
Is this your television debut of So Shady?
It is of So Shady, but I've been on television quite a bit. I'm a breast cancer survivor, so I've been on television quite a bit for that cause. But this is my first time being So Shady, so we'll see how I do.
Okay, well, we'll see how you do. Well, a lot has been happening. And of course, we can't begin any conversation about what's going on without talking about Botham John. And I know you're a mother and a wife. I'm a mother. And I have an African-American son and a husband. That has just been a devastating incident. How did that affect you?
You know, I felt that one quite deeply, to the point of almost tears, and I was posting about it every day. Mostly because I saw the post from one of my former colleagues. I used to work at PricewaterhouseCoopers. So when I saw what had happened through her page, I had to go and research and figure out what was going on. And I just could not fathom that a police officer, somebody that is sworn to serve and protect, went into the wrong apartment and killed somebody's son, somebody's
Is that
brother.
How you found out about it? By perusing and looking at
social
media?
Friends? Social media, because I must have missed the news that day, so I didn't see it on the news, but I saw a friend, she actually posted the internal email from PricewaterhouseCoopers, and I felt it so deeply because when I'm not being so shady, I'm a CPA. And like I said, I had worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers. So
you're a shady CPA is what you're saying?
Well, not shady CPA, because that could have some criminal connotations.
Okay.
But yeah, I felt it really deeply because I have stepsons that are 22, and just to see somebody that had his whole life ahead of him, he was going places, he was doing things, he loved the Lord. It just seemed crazy to me that something like that could happen. He left his country and came here, and that something like that could happen.
And that's what's so interesting about Botham. He's not just a young man of color, but he was an immigrant who came to our country. And he seems to embody everything that we lately are questioning.
Right. You're exactly right.
A 26-year-old young man. But some of the issues that came out of that, and that we're still talking about and resonating it, like with the suspicion crowding over him and whether or not the DA is doing what she needs to be doing, and suspicion over the police chief. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I found it hurtful. Like I said, I started researching everything, and I saw it on Twitter before it came out to the public about them executing a search warrant on his personal effects in his apartment. And I kept thinking, I read it and I said, I don't know much about legal terms, but I was like, is this right or appropriate? If you're checking for narcotics and they expect, it seemed to me like they were trying to turn him into a drug dealer, because then it would be easier for us to accept that this white police officer killed him in his own apartment. So I didn't agree with that, and I wanted to know, had her apartment been searched, had she gone through some type of testing? And I felt like it felt like a cover-up, and my heart went out to his mother, because she wasn't getting any answers. It seemed to me like, Amber did all these things right. She went to work. We didn't hear anything happen on her shift. She was able to get in her car, drive to the apartment, park her car, and then everything went
south from there.
Right. So it just seemed like it was unfathomable.
Now, I will say, at this point, it seems like Dallas and the whole country is just at a cinder point where, and particularly with this issue with this young man who seemed to just be an angel on earth, whose life was taken away. So anything that happens is just upsetting. But and I'm an attorney. I don't practice criminal law. I do juvenile law, And I can shed a little light on some of that, being that when the crime scene happened at his apartment, and as they are searching to determine what really happened, when they need to determine, is there any type of connection? They need to know whether or not it's just, they need to know more than just the blood on his carpet.
Right.
Is her name in his email?
Or phone?
Is his DNA? Is her DNA in his bathroom?
Right.
You know, is her name in his cell phone? So those kinds of things would require a warrant, and and we're not really sure whether Amber cooperated or not. We suspect she probably did, which is why you wouldn't necessarily need a warrant to search her things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, public. And I understand why the public would be upset about those things. But it just seems like we're just tired of it. Sometimes I wonder, is there a purge on black people going on? Did you see the purge?
Yeah, and I feel like there is. You know, every time you turn around, you know, we're losing our, you know, our black men, and at the hands of, you know, I don't, you know, rogue police officers. I don't know what you call it. And I realize not all police officers are bad, but the ones that are out here doing this, man, they're giving everybody a bad name.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing I will say is now the most recent thing is the 911 records. Everybody wants all those records released immediately. And I'm not really a fan of everything being all out
for public
right
consumption.
now.
Right,
yeah.
right.
And my understanding is the DA wants to try the case in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
So if we release those records, then that would taint
prejudice the jury or that
you
would be selecting from. That makes sense, I guess. You know, all I know is the world is watching.
The world is watching,
and we gotta do the right thing here. And it's interesting that it was just a week or two after we had gotten the a conviction with the police officer in Balch Springs, and everybody was celebrating that. And Dallas was sort of leading the charge. And then less than a week or two later, we have this, you know, the murder of Botham John.
Yes, it is, and everyone is watching, and I do certainly understand the being tired, the sense of it.
Yeah.
And my thing is there a purge? So you know, I do want to sit back and see what happens and let the investigation work itself out. But I do think there will be some reckoning. But so far, from what I've seen, and I've been on a lot of social media websites, it appears it's kind of a universal agreement that this was just simply not right.
I agree.
Well, another topic that we have, and by the time this airs, all this will have already been decided, is the Brett Kavanaugh and the Dr. Christine Blasey Ford issue. Did you have any chance to see any of the Senate hearings regarding that confirmation process?
I tuned in and he acted a fool. I mean, just from that, I wouldn't want him confirmed because his temperament was just all over the place. He went from tears to yelling to screaming to turning it back on the congressmen and women. It was awful to watch. And I was like, so this guy is going to be on the Supreme Court for the next 50 years deciding stuff?
Exactly. I don't know if did we bring up a picture of Mr. Kavanaugh and Miss Ford?
Yeah, I mean, her temperament, I thought, you know, she was credible, believable. I believe her. And then I was thinking, what kind of man is, you know, holds on the calendars from 1982?
You know, that was really weird.
That was weird for me too.
Creepy.
It was creepy because I'm thinking, you get rid of the 1982 calendar in 1983 on January 1st.
Exactly.
But I say that, and then So Shady has to keep it real. I was cleaning out a drawer and I found some calendars from my husband's college days from 1992 and 93, and I had to post it because I felt embarrassed because I had really given him a hard. He kept his. Now I haven't read the entries yet.
Don't read them.
But if I see Black Beach Week as one of the entries, then it's on and popping.
Yeah, well, that was a little creepy.
It was creepy, but then my husband did it, so hey, maybe it was normal.
Let's see the surly Brett Kavanaugh picture. But I have to agree with you, though, when you said his temperament. Now, I'm a litigation attorney, and he, to me, embodied everything that you would teach a first-year law student not to do with your witness. You know, if I were to ever teach first-year law students how to prepare your witness and how to determine, should I put this person on the stand? I would play his clip and say, this is why you typically do not put your own client on the stand when they beg you to testify, from the pretending you're smarter than the person asking you questions to being
or turning
rude.
it back on them, and do you drink beer? What do you drink?
Exactly.
That's all I got. Can I just say that's all I got from the interview, that he drank a lot of beer and he probably doesn't remember what happened because he was drunk
That's what they say. He doesn't remember.
Yeah, that's
which
what I got.
Which is not in itself non-corroborating. I mean,
right.
So, it would
I don't think he needs to be confirmed, and I know the Republicans think it's a Republican-Democrat thing, but it's not. I mean, they kept the guy that Obama tried to, can't think of his name exactly, out of contention or whatever. Didn't want to feel like he should approve or have him approved before the Congress. So, but it's not even that. It's just that this Brett guy just doesn't seem like the right kind of temperament to be.
He doesn't. He would actually scare
Supreme Court justice
to have to litigate in front of him, given the temperament that he showed.
Yes,
he seems like he'd be an active.
I feel like that too, and I feel like
judge.
Really. President Trump is trying to push him through because he said no sitting president should be under an investigation or should be investigated. So I feel like he's looking at Brett like, this is my get out of jail free card, and I'm going to put him, Trump doesn't really care about anybody.
My Trump card.
Trump card. That's a good way to put it. No, Trump has no loyalty to anybody but Trump. So I feel like that's why he's pushing him so hard.
Have you seen recently that Trump was actually mocking Dr.
I saw that, and I'm from Mississippi. I grew up in Mississippi, so I wasn't surprised at the location he chose to go into that. I wasn't surprised.
Now, what does Mississippi have to do with mocking a sexual assault victim?
I'm saying I knew that he would be he would get back applause and laughter and all that. That's all I'm saying. He was totally out of line, clearly. But when you're going around grabbing crotches,
what else would you expect?
But I'm just saying the people's response. I think a lot of people were let down by the response of the audience. And I'm just saying where he was. He was in Mississippi.
That didn't surprise you?
It didn't surprise me. And I can say that because, like I said, I grew up in Mississippi.
Okay, so you can throw stones there because you know it.
I can throw stones, honey, because I know it well.
The whole
honey.
temperament is just scary, and it's a scary tone for anyone who's been through that. Whether you believe she remembers him correctly or not, I don't believe it's something that you should make fun of.
Well, there are other women too, so I think that strengthens what she's saying. The other women have come forward. I don't know if FBI spoke to them, but everybody's not lying. Just like with Bill Cosby, you want to believe the first one, maybe two, but when you get to like 10 to 40, there's some truth in that.
And on and on. And speaking of Bill, he had a heck of a week. What is this? We're going to his second week now?
Yeah, second week in prison. And what happened? Because I've been following this. I don't know why. I obviously need a life.
With the Bill
I'm fascinated with him in prison. It's something about that. But anyway, his first night, he called his wife, which I'm still trying to figure out why is the phone still turned on and she doesn't have another number.
You'd have been gone by now,
I would be gone and have a nice little young boyfriend with his money. But anyway, he had whatever at the chow hall, whatever they call it, mess hall, he got hit in the face with a hot dog bun.
Really?
And he was complaining about it. I was thinking, that's all it was a hot dog bun?
I'm surprised he ate a hot dog. I wouldn't imagine he would eat.
Yeah, I think he's blind, so he probably thought it was steak. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. And he was going to have chocolate pudding or Jell-O pudding or something like the Saturday. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Pudding. For Bill Cosby.
He who falls fall from grace.
Yeah. So anyway.
Can you imagine those women who were assaulted and all those years watched him rise to fame and to be known as America's number one dad, and just knowing what he had done to them? Can you imagine how they
cannot
felt?
imagine, and I can share a little quick story. I actually met Bill Cosby. I was in D.C. at one of the fancier restaurants, McCormick and Smith's, I believe it was, and I was walking past with a friend, and we were there at a conference, and she said, I think I just saw Bill Cosby. And I said, that's not Bill Cosby, but I had my glasses on because I was trying to look cute. But I said, well, let's walk past, and see if we can get a closer view. And as we were walking past his table, I didn't realize we were so close to the table, and he grabbed my hand. And he said, "Where did you get those pants from?" And I had on pants, and black women, we got a little bit in the trunk.
You got a little jump.
And I was like, "Excuse me?" Because I'm expecting America's dad. You're like my dad. Where are you talking about? Where did I get my pants? And I might even told him the story because he kept saying it. And then I said, "Well, my friend really likes you," and she's like, "Oh, can I take a picture with you?" And he says, "Sure, if your friend will be in the picture." And then he pulled me down into his lap. I am not kidding.
How long ago did this happen?
Probably, I didn't have Mackenzie yet, so at least 10 or 12 years ago. And he pulled me down in his lap, and he was at a table full of people, and some of the people looked like they could have been his daughters, and I was embarrassed, and I was like, "Hi, how are you?" Whatever. And then afterwards, he came outside, and he was like, "If anybody asks you, I didn't do it, when we were waiting on the valet, I didn't do it." And I was thinking to myself, when this came out, I said, he's exactly who they say he is.
Surprise you one bit.
It did not surprise me.
And so if it was 10, 12 years ago, he was still too old to be doing that.
Exactly.
That was still kind of an old man.
That disappointed me because I was looking for, a father figure. I wanted you to treat me like Theo or somebody. So anyway, that was weird.
Let's pull up the picture of Trump. I have to discuss this because it's really disturbing
Oh my God.
me. Do you see that hair? What's going on right there? And you know that he goes around constantly and consistently making fun of everyone that comes in his path. Yet this is the image that we have representing America. I feel that this is unprecedented. I'm not trying to be partisan, but I am saying that this right here is a national crisis.
I looked at that photo and I was trying to think of something nice to say, and Big Mama used to say, "If you can't keep your mouth closed." But anyway, looking at his hair, I was thinking that would actually sort of be cute on like a bird, like a cockatoo or something, but not on your president's head. And I'm trying to figure out what laws of gravity is, keeping that in place, and has it going up on one side? Is it a toupee? Is it sewn in? And then the back, can you show the picture again? Sorry. The back looks like, remember how people have those newborn babies and they lay on the pillows all the time and it rubs off the back of their hair, and it's like, as country folks would say, mashed down in the back. Yeah, not a good look. And his body is horrible. I saw the back of him going up a plane, and he had like hips. It's awful.
It is awful. Now, this is what I don't understand. He lives in Washington. We know that's Chocolate City.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
There's gotta be a black hair salon on any corner in that city.
Yeah.
Have you seen the things that they are doing with male weave these days?
Exactly. He could get a nice little old lace front, and they could straighten it out and change the color, and I don't know. I say that, but I don't even know. They probably look at him and like he's a lost cause. So yeah.
No, I think that there's some things that he could do if he just was not creating such hostilities. He could just go up the street to someone's salon and sit down, and they could take care of that, and that would help America's image. I think that is an American image and a national crisis issue that we need to address.
Okay, so are we? Maybe we should do a GoFund. Well, no, he got the money to get his hair done. I don't know. I keep wondering how Melania looks at him all the time up close. I heard she sleeps in another room, so I believe that.
Omarosa says that, so
I believe it.
Says, I know that she does.
She probably hadn't been with that man since, when was Barron born?
Since then.
Right,
yes.
exactly.
But you can look at Melania, and I don't really have anything negative to say about her because I really believe she's a hostage. So
yeah, I've seen that too. I want her to blink twice if she needs help.
I think she needs to do that.
Yeah. So,
but I know that that's probably the worst.
Yeah, I feel bad for old Melania.
All right, so what has been going around on social media, and I think it's just absolutely ridiculous. Of course, we probably do because of our age and all.
Right.
We're at the I wouldn't say golden age, we're at the greatest age. Is the Chris Brown versus Michael Jackson question? I don't even know how that's a question. Who is a better dancer, Chris Brown or Michael Jackson?
Girl, I am so done with this question. I don't even know.
Can you bring up Chris Brown and Michael Jackson?
Why is this even a discussion?
look, he's looking. Look at Chris. That's how he's been looking lately, anyway.
And Michael's
Kind
looking
of
at him
upset.
like, please, dude, like really, like
Yes.
even dead, I'm so much better than you. He's a better dancer, and he's deceased. You know, Michael Jackson, I feel like people are always bringing up this argument, trying to make people be better than Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, I'm sorry, is the king of not just pop, of everything, and will always be. I mean, in school, I remember, you know, nowadays kids look at videos and all that, but that was sort of a new thing for us when we were growing up. And you would rush home. I want to say school would let out early, so you could get home and watch the
You know what?
the
I
premieres.
feel like it
They were
did.
like world premieres on CBS,
Yes.
and you know had all the Pepsi and everything behind them, and you could not wait to watch it. And then you had to wait that night, sleep on it, and go to school to talk about it the next day because there wasn't any social media.
Right.
But Michael had you talking. Whenever you knew he was going to drop a video, it was like this big thing.
Do you remember
Everybody
the
was in front of their
premiere of
TV.
Thriller?
Yes. Oh my God. I remember Thriller. And I feel like I can do all the dances too. So if you ever see me out and they play Thriller, don't be surprised.
Can you do the dance that goes like the
Oh
that's
yeah,
the beaded dance?
Okay, yeah, I got
so
you. I got
we're
you.
gonna have to try to do that
he's,
one day.
But I feel like Michael Jackson. Somebody posted this on Twitter, and I feel like his only competition is with himself. Because
Yeah.
when you're thinking, what was the best video of all time, or what was the best dance sequence? That's Michael Jackson. If it's Thriller, Smooth Criminal, whatever it is, Remember the Time. It's Michael Jackson against Michael Jackson. So
yeah.
I don't even know why Chris Brown, the criminal, is in this discussion. so anyway.
Well, you know, Chris Brown, I think might have been the next heir, but he ruined that.
He did.
He did.
He did.
And then
Fighting.
they kind of skipped over Usher. Usher probably
Usher
had
could've.
been the heir, but then Chris Brown is really good, but
He's a good dancer, but his behavior, you know, Michael Jackson was, sort of squeaky clean from most of the time.
Well, I'm a
And
Michael
so-
Jackson believer, and I believe in his integrity.
I
and
did
his
too. I never
innocence and his
believed that he
honesty,
did
I
that. And
don't
people came
believe
out
any of
after he
that.
died and said that they were lying and
Yes,
stuff.
they
So
did.
I think he got a bad rap, but
I think he
still,
did get a bad rap.
Man, Michael Jackson is still, you know, people are still dressing up as Michael Jackson
Yeah,
in different
they are.
videos.
And you
Who
can
dresses
see-
up like Chris Brown? Nobody. I'm just saying.
No one does.
I'm
And
just
you can
saying.
see Michael's DNA in people.
Yes.
So that's
And his
probably the
influence,
defining
yeah.
difference is you see Michael's DNA in
And
people.
not just in males, even a Beyonce,
Everyone's.
just knowing how to, you know, his sister, knowing how to command a crowd and entertain.
Yes.
So he was the man.
So I think that brings that to a conclusion. Now, most recently, and I know you've heard about this, and I'm very disappointed in the Nicki Minaj and Cardi B fiasco that went down. You know, I was a big supporter of women doing their thing,
Right.
and rapping women trying to get out there and do their things, and I
Yeah.
loved it. And I really think that it was the men that kind of set them up to try to
Right.
fight against each other.
Yeah.
But they've now taken it to a different level, and I think I blame them both. And Cardi B, I kind of think went too far.
Cardi B is what, you know, Big Mama used to say, when you smelling yourself. I think that's what's going on with Cardi B. She has gotten so much success so quickly, and she's still, you know, that girl from Love and Hip Hop, you know, and
Yeah.
and so you can take the girl off the show, but can you really take the show out of the girl?
Not
so
so
I think
much,
she
huh?
just is not able to deal with that. And whenever something happens, she feels like, oh, I'm gonna pull up on this chick, I'm gonna throw a shoe, I'm gonna fight, because that's what she did on Love and Hip Hop. So people that are true Cardi fans say that that's what they love about her, because she's real. But I'm like, you don't need to be messing with your coins. You are at Fashion Week. Act appropriately.
Yeah. Mature and move forward.
Yeah, and you have a baby now, so
Yeah.
act appropriately. And so I like that Nicki was kind of like unbothered, you know, yeah, you could throw a shoe, but I'm still gonna secure my bag, and I got people around me, so the shoe is not, you know, you're gonna look crazy. And she did, because she ended up, and I'm still not sure how it happened, she had a big old knot on her head.
She did, and I'm not really sure how that
I
happened.
don't know,
either.
and who did it? I'm trying to figure it out, but it was a big old nasty knot.
Those entourages are pretty tough.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, I'm working to try to develop one of my own, but I'm
All
not quite
right.
there yet.
All right.
But it's good
But
to
yeah,
have
but
one.
I like, you know, Nicki and Cardi, but I'm a true Foxy Brown, Little Kim fan. So I might be dating
Yeah,
myself, but
yeah,
hey,
no.
I feel like they're all knocking off those people. So
No, I'm a true Little Kim fan. Now,
I felt like Nicki was doing a little bit knockoff of Little Kim.
I think I am mainly a fan of whoever is the one that has set the pace
Yes,
and did it.
that's
So
right.
between Nicki and Cardi, I'm gonna support
Nicki, right.
But between Little Kim and Nicki,
There
I'm
ain't
a
no
Little
comparison.
Kim. I'm a Little
No
Kim
comparison.
fan.
No comparison.
Because I think Little Kim really did set the
And
stage.
she set the standard, and she set the standard for being a lady on stage and not being afraid to show your sexuality on stage. And she did it, you know, I would say with some class. She had a little hood and street in her, but it still was
quite
where
a
you
bit.
could embrace it, you know, because even us being corporate women, we could embrace that ratchetness.
Yeah.
So
And she had a good beat.
she did.
Good funky
Girl, I
beat.
still got her on my iPod, shoot.
Okay. Well, now we talked about Trump and his hair, our president. So we're going to go back a little bit into politics so we can conclude and wrap it up, because we got an election coming up that's pretty important.
Very important.
Now, everybody's heard about Beto. He has been a phenomenal candidate. I think he's been very inspiring, and he's from El Paso, and that's where I'm from. So I'm
And my
pretty
family
excited.
too, remember?
Yeah, you are. I heard you're from El Paso. We're going to have to look
Yeah.
up that tree. We
Right,
might
exactly. I think
be
we're connected.
Branches be hitting somewhere. But there are other candidates, progressive candidates, because on Access to Justice, we promote progressive TV and progressive candidates that I think we need to talk about. First, there is Kim Olsen. I don't know how many people know or have heard that she is running for Texas Commissioner of Agriculture. Let's bring up Kim and her family. Kim is a retired Air Force pilot. Can you believe that?
No, that's awesome.
Power to the women.
Yes.
And she's also retired from the Dallas Independent School District. Now, I had to actually go and look up and find out, what does the Texas Commissioner of Agriculture do? You know, it's one of those jobs where you're like, well, what exactly do they do?
Exactly.
So they have a couple of duties. They have the duties concerning consumer protection, and they regulate fuel pumps. They regulate and measure devices that go on the grocery store scales and retail price scanners. They are concerned with production in the agriculture. They protect the agricultural crops, such as citrus and cotton, from harmful pests and disease. And they facilitate trade and market development of agricultural commodities, ranging from livestock to crops. They also are in charge of healthy living in Texas and in economic development areas. So they have kind of a broad range of activities.
Stuff that I wouldn't expect. I hear agriculture and I think, you know, crops. That's all I think of, you know, because like I said, I grew up in Mississippi. I chop cotton, if you can believe that. So that's what I think of. And when you were saying the stuff about the scales in the store and, you know, more healthy living, that was kind of, you know, interesting to me.
And they are in charge of administering grant funds for agricultural research. So that area has kind of a broad range of activities that they maintain. And Kim kind of has a broad range of activities herself, and I think she is an outstanding candidate.
I think so too. You know, I'm a military veteran as well. I've done everything, girl. I've been living a long time.
So what branch were
like.
you in?
I was in the Army Reserve. I served Army Reserve. I served 8 years. So, but I'm always, you know, partial to veterans because I know what they went through. I know what it means to raise your hand and sign up to give your life for your country. So I'm already feeling her. And then she's a pilot, so that's telling me that she's a bit of a daredevil, and she won't be, you know, swayed by the good old boys or whatever. She's a trailblazer, if you a trailblazer, and she's done some stuff with. Was she the one with DISD?
The HR retired from the Human Resource Department of the Dallas Independent School.
So she has a great resume.
And she is also a Texas Women's Hall of Fame, and that's right in where we are today. We're in Denton, the city of Denton, where we're filming in Texas Women.
I think she's a great candidate. So she has my vote.
And then we have Lindsey Fagan running for U.S. District 26. I'm all about girl power. Can we bring up Lindsey? We need some more women in our U.S. Congress.
I would agree with that. I was just on Capitol Hill not that long ago doing advocacy for breast cancer for Susan G. Komen. And you're exactly right. You know, having to meet with everybody from Texas being male was a little bit disheartening because you think, you know, how far you've come, and you really haven't come far at all when it comes to women's rights.
You know, and part of when they were talking about the confirmation, one question they asked Kavanaugh was, are there any laws that govern men's health? And he was declining to answer. And there are none. There are only, whether you're pro-choice or not pro-choice, we all could agree that women's health should be an issue, regardless of where you are on that position. That's one dividing issue. We should all have the same commonality that women's health care should be something that we all are concerned with. And there should be women in Congress
helping to make those decisions.
Helping to make those decisions.
Who better to do that? So
who better to do that? Yeah. Finally, another candidate that I think we need to highlight is Justin Nelson, who's running for Attorney General. Can we bring him up? There's Justin. Justin is a law professor, and he's running for Attorney General. And this is what's interesting. He's running against the current Attorney General, who is under indictment. I don't understand how that works.
What?
How is
our Attorney General under indictment? I think I heard something about that. Securities fraud or
securities fraud.
Again, how is he even allowed to be on the ballot?
It's not even a partisan issue.
Exactly.
Because I think the person he supposedly had frauded was someone who was in his party.
A Republican, fellow Republican.
So some of the issues
that should disqualify him. I'll just go out on a limb and say that should disqualify him.
If you are being indicted for a felony charge, you should not be able to run.
No, you should not.
Okay. So some of the issues Justin wants to deal with are the gerrymandering that we have going on in our districts.
And very important issue.
Fraud. And of course, safeguarding consumer protection. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we are winding down, I always give our guests an opportunity to have a closing remark, and so I'm going to give you an opportunity to do that. I appreciate you coming, taking time
so much fun.
Out of your day to be shady with us on Access to Justice.
I have really enjoyed myself. Thank you so much for having me. Like I said, I do this so shady side of myself on Facebook and Twitter, so be sure to follow me. Okay. Don't at me if I say something wrong.
All right. So thanks for having me. Was there anything you wanted to relieve with the guests remembering?
I just want to say, since it is October and I have mentioned two-time breast cancer survivor, please do what you can this month to help the cause and support a breast cancer survivor. We really need it. Lots of great organizations out there. I'm part of a lot of them. So I just wanted to take the time to say that because my mother-in-law passed away of the disease when she was 46. I was diagnosed, like I said, twice. So I'll just leave it as a not so shady thing and just say that. But I've had a great time today. Talking about folks. That's what I'm here for. So whenever you need that girl, call me.
No problem. You were great fun. And I have what we call the final comment. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
His name is Botham John. Now, I shouldn't know his name. And I shouldn't know his name because he should be living in anonymity. But his death has once again brought into the spotlight the issue of the criminal justice system and its relationship to people of color. But more so, Botham was not only a young man of color, he was an immigrant, and he personified everything that we have recently come to be suspicious of. Botham was a truly special young man who was loved by everyone he knew and remembered for his love of Christ, his love of singing, and his love of people. And in his life, he seemed to be a magnifying force that united all who knew him. And if there's anything that can be said positive of his death, it's that because of the life he lived, his death can serve as a unifying force as well. This is the one death which there appears to be agreement. Perhaps his death will be the catalyst that will open the conversation to the topic no one seems to be listening to each other about. Perhaps this young immigrant of color's death will shine a spotlight on those issues that divide us and unite us in his death. His name is Botham, and I should not know his name, but I do. Thank you for watching Access to Justice. I'm attorney Delia Parker Mims. And remember that election is November 6th. Early voting starts October 22nd through November 2nd, and your vote counts.